What is up, everybody? We are back with another episode of Bullish Top Stocks to watch for the week and why. But before we get into it, as always, hey, a couple things. These are only my opinions. Do your own due diligence. I'm not a financial planner. This is just what I'm watching, not necessarily playing, but definitely kind of interesting to me for the upcoming week or current week, whenever you're watching it, or past week even whenever you're watching it. Also, realbullish.com. Go give us a sub there. Go sign up for our newsletter. Got some good blog posts and stuff that I'm working on. Hopefully sell some merch here. Just have some fun with it pretty soon. But definitely go sign up for our newsletter. Gonna have some fun with that. But also real_bullish wherever you get your social media poison. All right. Hopefully you can see my screen. This week, I have a few that I'm looking at, a couple earning plays and a past earning play. PVH Corp. I think the other one's Gypsum Management Supply, and then Salesforce coming rounding out Salesforce. I've been watching Salesforce for a few weeks now, but I think it had a really cool movement. I was watching it, and I'm excited about what they're doing and stuff like that. But anyways, going to a PVH Corp, and I'm watching this one. It's a consumer cyclical play. PVH Corp. I think it's like Tommy Hilfiger. They have a bunch of different like brands. They're under their kind of umbrella in terms of retail things that they sell. It's like Calvin Klein, I think Tommy Hilfiger, and a few other ones as well. So I think it could be a really interesting post-pandemic play. I know we're in the pandemic, so it's hard to think about post-pandemic. But people are gonna have to start wearing pants again soon. People, motherfuckers, have to go to work and school and shit. As we figure out this new normal, I think it could be an interesting play for them. But anyways, they have earnings at 8:31 after market close. I think that's on Tuesday after market close. Like I said, consumer cyclical has been on the downtrend over the last year to date. It's just, in terms of groupings, right? They haven't performed. They've been underperforming for that for the past. I'm going to say 8 months or so, and it's to be understandable. But I think that this is an interesting play because right now PVH Corp is actually 11% under the average analyst price target. If you look at Yahoo Finance, right? So it's not too crazy. It's not a 60% down drop like I saw with apps. That should have been the signal to me to say, hey, apps is really like it looks great, but people are selling us off in the downtrend. But I really like the when it gets like under the teens area for under analyst price targets because it shows that there's meat on the bone still, but it's not in some crazy downtrend. Anyways, it's a 150% expected year over year EPS growth. So if I'm looking this time last year, the earnings per share is expected to grow this year, same time this year, or compared to last year, 150%, right? So that's a really good gain on EPS. It's a really interesting one for me. Over the last 12 quarters, and just to put numbers behind you, over the last 12 quarters, they beat about 83% of the time for earnings, right? They meet or exceeded expectations for earnings, and they raise about 67% of the time. If you look over the past 6 quarters, 60% of the time they increase the next day, or within that same day after they release earnings. I like to see that number closer to 80, honestly, but 67% is a yellow flag, not necessarily a red flag. I would love that a little bit higher. But anyways, and just looking at it, looking at people that are coming back to look at it on July 14th. I know that's a little bit a while ago, month and a half ago or so. Goldman initiated coverage with a buy target of $127. That's their price target. I haven't seen analysts come in yet, look at it, but month and a half ago, Goldman's at least looking at it in terms of raising their price target, right? And what's interesting about this one, if you look at the options play for this, there's a 10% straddle price, and the way straddle prices work for options, if they're betting on a 10% movement one way or the other. They're not saying which way it's going to go, so you kind of flip a coin, but hopefully you put some numbers in your favor. But a 10% movement after earnings is interesting for me for sure, right? It shows some volatility there. And right here, looking at, let's just jump into it, right? At the month level, I like to do month, week, day, and then intra times as well. 3 minutes. I'm trying to do this in 17 minutes or less. But anyways, at the month level, I really like it because it's finding a lot of it's an upward channel going back from basically March of last year. It's been in an upward channel. It's been touching this at the month level, kind of touching this lower support line, but still kind of not breaking out of this upper channel here. And it's just crushing support levels and resistance levels and using support along the way. So it's a really nice channel, and I like buying all time highs on pullbacks for good companies. I'm not saying that this is the best company. Look at the financials. It's running the mill for what they do. But it's not bad. And if you look at the charts and what they're doing, I think it's a really interesting play. But anyways, at the month level, you do see it respecting this upward channel right here. You see indecision doji here while it was raising, so that shows kind of like an area of possible correction or taking pause, and that's exactly what it did. But what I found interesting at the month level is for the past let's say 5 months, it's been really respecting this $106 area, and I think that's going to be the important one for this one. If it holds that, great. If not, you hopefully try to play this lower channel as well. Once it breaks that, you have to have a game plan. I don't like losing more than 5% of my money, because then I'm thinking about either scaling down, which I hardly ever want to do for companies I don't know really well. I'll do that for good companies like CRM or Microsoft or something like that. But these other companies, hey, you play how you want to play. But for me, that's kind of how I look at it, right? I got a couple of different stop losses, but also have areas where I'm just going to get the fuck out, right? And just kind of chalk that up as to the game and shit. But anyways, like at the month level, it's did see some resistance here at this 120 area, pulled back, but it didn't crash yet under the 105 area. It's really using this as an interesting area, and I like this candle here because it's almost like a hammer. This is really good at the bottom. I have a sell off. This isn't so good at the top, right? So at the bottom, I think it's really interesting. There was no volume over average yet, so that just shows me, hey, it's kind of like taking pause, and it might be an interesting area to buy up here. RSI is looking good. It's kind of going upward. MACD is a little bit pinching on the divergence area, but not too bad as well. And it's not too far extended at the month level, which I love. It's not too far away. But at the week level, it looks really good as well. It's you see RSI kind of perking up as well. You see MACD, it's still bearish, but it wants to round out, right? And it's finding really good support here at the 105, 106, 105.73. Let's call it 106 area, right? Once it breaks that, I would use probably how I would play it is using the bottom of the channel support. And if it breaks that, which I maybe it will, maybe it won't. You guys just have to have your kind of play for that one. But I really like this one because it was making all-time highs, cooling off. It was looking for a next catalyst. And if this earnings is 150% earnings per share increase, it could be the catalyst it needed. What I do love at the week level is, you saw some bearish volume coming in, but bullish volume coming in over the last week. I love seeing that before earnings. So that could speak to like not the 67% raise after earnings. This could be a mover before earnings, which I did look at. But I like it at the bottom of the channel here. You see bullish volume coming in. MACD's looking good. RSI is going up. And right, if you look at this 10 EMA, this blue line right here, it's not too far away from it, right? It's not like super far like this and it has to travel back. It's right at that line, making good gains. So I like that one a lot. At the day level as well, it's moving, right? It's moving. It resisted here and it's just testing this area again. I really would want to catch it at the lower channel area, but catching it right here at this area of, above or below this area of hopefully support would be good for me. Bottom of the channel would be a better play for me because there's more meat on the bones there. But you see, it's bearish and bullish volume, a combination. People are fighting for this one. I really don't like to fight for the stock. I wanted to kind of show a trend, but I think this has a really good upward channel, which I really love doing before earnings, because earnings to me is a catalyst, right? It could be a catalyst up or down, right? But volume over average is there over the past week, so people are buying this over average, right? People are seeing that, so I think that's a really good one. RSI and MACD are both kind of looking good as well. So I really like that one. That's PVH, interesting one for me. Also GMS, yeah, was the next one I wanted to look at, and GMS is interesting to me because they're a construction supply and services company, right? So they're in like the construction service. So if you're a fan of people kind of building stuff during and after the pandemic, this is an interesting one. It's a play on the infrastructure bill if that ever gets passed and shit and goes into law. Sorry, goes into effect. That could be an interesting one too. I'm kind of like waning off of the bill because it's been something that's been talked about for months now. We haven't seen shit yet. You see some, but you don't see it kind of coming out yet. So that's I'm not leaning on the bill as a way to kind of a catalyst, but I think this can be an interesting one. Why I like it, because industrials are actually, if you look at the groupings, industrials as a grouping on the 1 year level are coming up, right? They're up to the third. I think they were the fifth last week. Now they moved up to the third. If you look at the grouping levels at a year level, they're performing pretty well, right? They've always been kind of in that top level at the year, but right now it's in the top three, which I love. So it shows that people are looking at it, right? As opposed to the previous one, consumer cyclical, where people are not buying that one as much for the past year. So kind of like a shift there in paradigm. But anyways, if you look at Yahoo Finance, is about a 5.3% difference between what they have and what the current price is, so that it's about 5% under the average analyst price target. I would want that a little bit more, but 5% is still good. It's a 56% expected EPS year over year growth. Now PVH was 150. This is 56, right? So less there, but still, you want to show a company that shows quarter after quarter, year after year improvement for their revenue, margin, EPS. This one's showing it, 56%. That's something to scoff at, right? Over the last 12 quarters, this one right here has beat or meted expectation 75% of the time, but it only raises 33% of the time over the past 6 months. So even though it does have a history of beating, it doesn't always raise. But I looked at it before, and if you see some of these like stupid arrows and shit. I was trying to look at to see, and it doesn't show it what hood, but I was looking at where earnings were over the previous year, 2 years, and it looks like this thing just run like when it does. Not increase over earnings is because it ran so much before, right? So I think catching this at the lower level could be interesting, right? And I like this one. The reason I wasn't gonna have this around originally, I was kind of like waning off of it. But then when I looked it up deeper, I saw that over the past 6 months, insider transactions, so people that work within the company, have increased 324% over the last 6 months. So think about that. Since March, there's been a 324% increase for people in the company buying their own shares. So to me, that sparked something like, oh shit, insiders are buying into this company heavy, especially over the past 6 months. And you can see it. As of March, this thing has been on a rip. After it got over the support line, that's when the time when people started buying it. It could be too far extended. So these people are already up, 40% of their money. But still, I think it could be interesting. It's always good when you see insiders buying in. But anyways, I'll go jump into a little bit more at the month level. Again, like PVH, like you see me do upward channel, right? You identify an upward channel. This thing is, still breaking shit. But what I don't like at the month level is, even though it is far extended, it's pretty far extended on here. I would want to see it closer. I'm good with it consolidating for a little while, especially. So this might be more of a post earnings play for me to see what it does and see what the new normal is before getting into it. I believe the company, like I looked them up, they seem great. They seem like they know what the fuck they're doing. They're doing the thing, right? They have a niche and it's great. But the stock right now is pretty extended, right? So I want to see this RSI at the month level go down a little bit. This, as we talked about RSI, it's at 75. 30 and 70 are areas of correction, and this one's at 7. This was at 75. So it goes to 100. So you would expect some type of correction because it hasn't seen that. If you look at the month level, right? So you do see like a spinning top here, almost indecision, but then you saw a really strong green candle after that. MACD is still diverging at the month level to be bullish, so that's cool as well. At the week level, it would have been the week to catch it, last week, honestly, unfortunately. So that's why I say, like, I want to catch this at a good level. If it goes, so it broke over the support level of, let's call it $49, 49 and some change. I want to see a retest of this, I would love to catch it at the bottom channel. I wouldn't mind catching this at the support level as well, especially if it beats earnings. So that's why I say I want to wait a little bit. This is an earning plays on 9-2, by the way. I think after market close, so 9-2 for next week. What I do like though is RSI and MACD are still up. They're a little extended, right? But MACD is more flat, so it's more meandering, consolidating, which isn't the worst thing in the world, especially before earnings. It's kind of setting up for something maybe, right? And RSI is going up as well, right? So I do like that. RSI and MACD are both flat to kind of perking up at the week level, not too bad. And it's still at a week that's touching this 10 EMA. I want to see what it does it next week. I want to see a retest of this bottom channel support or this resistance here. I'm not going to chase this one. If I wasn't in it, I wouldn't chase it right now before earnings, because it shows a 33% chance for the last 6 months of raising after earnings. So usually it doesn't raise after earnings if you go over the past 6 months. But anyways, oh man, that's good. Got some Terramana, got some limes I grow in the back, got some ice and some water. Ooh, that shit's good. But anyways, it's showing like it wants to make some moves at the day level as well. You saw this really strong candle. It was up 5% over the last trading day, right? So that's why I said this area, I would have caught it if I really was wanting to get this. I would have caught it on the retest of this because it's showing that it's using it as support. So until it proves to me that it's not support, I'm gonna use it as support. RSI is going up, MACD is going up. So at the day level, it looks really bullish, but it's probably going to correct here at the top of this channel because it's proven to do so. Unless you have an earnings catalyst that blows it out of the water or they announce some interesting shit. They haven't had any kind of recent news since 8/19. So so for 10 days, they really haven't had any news. I would expect it's going to retest the top of this channel eventually before earnings, but not do it, right? Or retest this, like I said, channel support or this here, which I would love. And anyways, going into the last one, I want to kind of wrap this up pretty quickly, but I've already talked about this last one before. CRM, I love CRM. I'm a marketing guy. I've been in marketing for a while. I love it. It's interesting to me, but also CRM. I just follow the company, right? Because they made CRM is called customer retention manager, a relationship manager, and that's their stock ticker. They fucking made this shit. But anyways, I liked it for a few reasons, like Slack. Being CRM, Slack just kind of finished they actually closed their Slack deal on Slack. I listened to the earnings. It was great. There was some technical difficulties, but it was super good earnings. It was actually interesting me to the whole time. I listened to 3 earnings last week. This was the most interesting to me. But anyways, I want to catch this at the gap down. But anyways, they just going over the earnings. If you hadn't seen it, they beat revenue, they beat EPS, they raised guidance. They did all the 3 things you want to do for earnings, right? Revenue was up 24% year over year. Basically 6.34 billion last quarter in revenue. Margins increased, or margins has been sustained over 20% margins for the, I think, the past six earnings or something like that. They said they have a history. They're showing a history of keeping their margins up. I would expect that to kind of to maybe decrease because they're kind of trying to figure out how to integrate Slack, a multi-billion-dollar company they paid for. It's going to take some time, so I would expect that margin to kind of ease off. But I think over the long run, it's going to be a really good win for them. And they have a plan that they're on track for. They have a plan called 50 billion by 2026. So they want to do 50 billion in revenue by 2026, and they said in the call that they're on pace for that shit. That's crazy. But anyways, I really like Slack. Like I said, if you can't tell, they're making progress in integrating Slack to be internal and customer facing. So usually, like, I've seen companies use Slack internally for me talking to a colleague, but now they're using Slack externally to help your vendors and your purchasing, your sales and shit. So it's not going to just be internally facing. So I think that's going to be really fun too. Um, like I said, they closed the Slack deal on Slack, which is kind of cool. That's like a flex as fuck. But anyways, I think a couple interesting catalysts. If we're not even looking at the earnings that are going to come up in the next 3 months, they have a Tableau conference and Dreamforce like in the next few months. I'm going to go to both of them because I'm a nerd and I love that shit. But anyways, those are going to be, I think they're going to be interesting catalysts for Tableau and for Dreamforce because they're going to show a lot of shit that's going to come out. And then people are going to get that. The news is going to go crazy. So I think it's a really good time to start looking at Slack again if you haven't already, right? Price target increases came in as well before and after earnings. Yeah, price target. I didn't get like the exact numbers, but I've seen nothing but positive price target increases coming in for there. I'll go into Slack a little bit. We talked about it last week, so I won't go into it too far. Maybe at the month level, I'm seeing this nice the cup and handle possible formation, right? So basically, this is what I see, right? At the break of this level here, I want to see what it does as after we get closer to this break. I would expect it's going to retest down. I'm sorry for all these shitty lines, but basically, I would look for this retest down when it hits this at the month level. Like I said, month level just takes a long time to build it up because you're looking at time frames in months. Like this is a year and a half we're looking at, right? So it's not going to be a quick move, right? And it shouldn't be. You want a slow, sustained movement. That's what I love. But anyways, you see, some average. It's about the end of the month. Average, almost over average coming in. So that's always good to see. RSI is kind of getting closer to that 70 area, possible correction. But Salesforce is a company that can run, it ran 88 as an RSI, no problem if you look at September 2018. So, 70 could be nothing to this company, right? It could just blow past that, which it has before. MACD is also looking like it wants to diverge to be bullish as well. At the week level, it's a little far extended off of this 10 EMA. So you know how I feel about that shit. I would want to catch a little bit closer. That goes into how I'm thinking about playing this one. I played this one twice last week. So yeah, and with good success. So I could have done better, but I let someone scare me out of it. Like I'm a dumbass. But anyways, so I have a way I'm gonna play this. Basically, you do see average coming in, bullish average. 49 million shares traded last week, which you haven't seen that much volume since bullish volume since you haven't seen that since 12 4 12 20. So since fucking December last year, right? But anyways, RSI is coming up too again at this area of possible correction, but it can run at the week level 79 80 and not blink an eye. MACD is diverging to or still on the bullish divergence. So those two lines are just increasing more. So at the week level it looks strong. It looks strong but extended, honestly. And this goes to how I'm going to play this at this week. It's still catching this upward channel, right? I didn't draw it again, but basically there was an upward channel that you can like theoretically draw here, and I'm just horrible. Sorry, I'm just doing this on the spot. But basically, I want to get as close to this lower channel as possible, right? So what I'm gonna do, if we've seen me before talk about gaps, gap up and gap downs, there was a gap up that was earnings, and that's exuberance, but that's also a bad thing because gaps usually want to get filled, and so that's how I'm playing this one. Gap to the downside. I want to see it fill this. I want to see it close this gap, get closer to 262, let's call it, and to play this one, to look at it again and be interesting, right? And I think we'll get that because you see RSI, it just shot up and now it's correcting. But also, MACD is not correcting yet. You did see bearish volume coming over average on Friday. That was people just taking profits, right? When you have, a 5% move or whatever, people are going to take profits. That's what I do. So I'm expecting hopefully a gap down for this. I want to catch it at this lower level here. If it busts even that, even better for me because I'm gonna catch it at this lower channel. And fucking I think CRM is a company that you can invest in, not just trade or not just like YOLO. You can invest in this company, but I still want to get the best price possible. And I see myself buying this slowly over a longer period of time, just holding it for a fuck long time. But the market doesn't really like play with that well yet. But that's how I see CRM as a disruptor in the industry, right? Especially as they integrate more enterprise level softwares and then compete with Microsoft. That's what they want to do. Mark Benioff, he's not only the CEO right now, he's the fucking founder of the company, still running the company. He seems like a douche, but a great guy. I'm just saying douche being dick, but like he seems like he's fun. I would want to work for that dude. But anyways, those are the three that I'm looking at this week: PVH, Gypsum Management Supply, GMS, and Salesforce CRM because they beat that earnings. Everyone have a great day. Did something in 20 minutes or less. Peace.